today is Friday the 18th of March. I'm Maja, and you can find me as sjomajlin on Instagram and Ravelry. I am coming to you from Jönköping, Sweden. And fair warning, I am homesick for a few days with a very raspy throat. So there will be coughing and throat clearing and quite possibly some sneezing. So if you are watching... Sorry, if you are watching with earbuds, you might want to pause and come back at another time when you can have speaker sound. Am I making sense? Because it's usually worse when you have the earbuds in, so fair warning. And yes, I really do need to get some new tulips. Well, anyway, so yes, today is Friday, as I said. On Wednesday I felt not so good, but I thought I would be able to pull through that day, and I didn't, so I went home at lunchtime. So I've been home a day and a half, or today is pretty much also half day, so 2 days pretty much. I am not doing super poorly, but poorly enough to not have the energy to go around to all these places and singing. And today I'm actually quite a lot better in my throat as well. And So I was talking to myself during breakfast, as one does when one lives alone. And I noticed that I was very prone to voice fry, which I don't like, ever. It always bothers me to hear someone voice fry. And with my raspy throat, I'm more likely to fall into that area of using the vocal cords and voice, especially towards the ends of my sentences or of a phrase. So I was really trying to think about it when, again, I was talking to myself. So I will try to think about it now as well. So since I mentioned it, you can also call me out on my voice fries. On my voice fries. The best way I know to... Sorry. To, you know, steer out of that falling into the ditch is to have more of a sing-song approach in your delivery of speech. I don't know. Anyway, hi. Excuse me. Last weekend I told you that I was planning on going out to the family cabin in the woods, and I did, and I had such a lovely time. The weather was okay, so here in Jönköping there is still some snow where, you know, sort of the shovel piles on the north side of houses, so where it's shadowy all around the clock. There is still some snow. Otherwise, spring is definitely on its way. It's been... I don't know. It's probably been around freezing or even freezing at night time this week as well, and it will be for a few more weeks probably. But in daytime, and especially when the sun has been out, it's been like possibly 2-digit degrees Celsius, obviously, in the sun and out of the wind. So it's quite lovely. But sorry, where the cabin is, it's about 30 minutes drive from here, so it's not far at all, but it is quite, or no, it's not high up as being in the mountains or anything, but it is, excuse me, high enough up, high up enough high up for there to be, sorry, a lot of snow. So it was knee height or knee depth of snow up there. Even though it was, what do you say, warmer in the air. So it is definitely melting, but there was still a lot of snow. And my parents had warned me that there is a fireplace like in the living room. It's a very small cabin, but like in the living room there's a fireplace, and they had warned me that that chimney was probably stuffed up, because when they had tried to light a fire in there, it had just, you know, smoked in. The smoke had not gone up the chimney but had stayed in the room, which is obviously dangerous. But I really wanted to be able to light a fire in there, so I was rattling with the, I don't know what it's called, but it's sort of a, pretty much a lid within the chimney that you can open or close. So I was rattling about with that, and then I tried, and yes, I was able to light a fire indoors, in the room where I would also spend the night, as planned. And there is some electricity, enough so that I could run one electrical radiator if I wanted to do anything else. For example, have a lamp lit. So there were 3 radiators, but you can't run them all in the same room because there is not enough electricity. Well, anyway, so it was about 5 degrees Celsius indoors when I got there. And before night time I had gotten the temperature up to 20-ish degrees, so that was lovely. I also lit a fire outdoors in sort of a fire basket, and I sat next to that reading, listening to the birds. There's a bird feeder right like a few meters from where I sat, and there were lots of little birds there. And yeah, I just sat there, you know, listening to the fire, listening to the birds, staring into the woods when I rested my... Oh, I was reading, as I said, but then, you know, every once in a while you need to just, you know, smell the fart, if you will. Friends reference. But you need to, you know, just sort of let it sink in sometimes. So I had such a lovely time, and then at night time, or when it got dark, I went inside and I sat indoors by that fire, reading. I did some knitting as well. I had really thought that I would do a lot more knitting, but I was so absorbed with my book. And there was a mouse, a living mouse indoors. There was a dead one as well, but voice spray. There was a living mouse. So, excuse me. When I told my mom, because she asked, she was like, "Did you sleep in a room with a mouse?" And I was like, "Yeah." She was like, "Oh, I would never." I was like, I reckon the mouse is more afraid of me than I am of it. And even if the mouse would be curious, I mean, it wouldn't really do me any harm, would it? I don't know. Maybe I'm stupid, but yeah, I did spend the night there with, well, probably with a mouse in the room. It might have left somehow, I don't know. So yeah, and then the next morning I woke, and there was still some very, the very last few embers were still glowing in the fireplace, so I was able to get the fire going again, and I had a lovely morning by the fire as well before I left for a family dinner. So that was lovely. As I said, I had thought that I would have more knitting time done, or knitting done with the time there, but I was so absorbed in reading, and I just finished. So I was reading the Book of Life, the third and last book of the All Souls trilogy. I've shown this to you before. And here are the books. So I was reading the Book of Life, and I just finished it this morning. And it's so good. Do read these books if you haven't. So my mom was calling, or my dad was, both of them wanted to check in with me when I was at the cabin. And mom was asking something, I don't remember. So she was like, well, then you're gonna go to sleep early tonight then, aren't you? And I was like, well, I don't know. Because I have brought such a good book, so I'm not sure I will be able to put it down. She was like, oh, what book is it? And she didn't know this book, so I was like, well, it's about vampires and witches and stuff. She was like, oh, and you brought that there to read it? You know, all by yourself in the dark woods? And I was like, yeah. I'm not afraid of the dark. But so I had to explain to her, because she was like, oh. Or I didn't have to explain, but I wanted to explain to her that, and this is obviously an exaggeration of Rang. These are books written by a woman, Deborah Harkness, for women. Meaning that it's not attacks and murders in cold blood, if you will. There is blood and there is gore, but it's more of strategy and drama, and it's definitely a love story. So it's not like a scary, spooky, you know, sort of ghost story of vampires, but it's just lovely. I am a little bit disappointed, I think, with the end, and I was trying to, this was part of what I was talking to myself about over breakfast, actually. I think that the main issue that I had with the end of, well, obviously the last book, because that is the end of the trilogy, was that it ended. I did not want it to end. I wanted it to go on forever and ever. So really, I think that the end was quite good. It's just that it actually ended. And not to give anything away, because if you want to read them, I will not spoil it for you, but excuse me. Often times it feels as though when it's sort of a big drama, big story that has to come to a close, it closes too quickly, and it's just sort of, you know, wraps up and it's like, oh, all done, finished. That's sort of the feeling you get, and that's not very nice, I guess. But still, you don't really want the end or the weaving in of loose ends, if you will, to go on for a very long time either, because you want it to be exciting and interesting to the very end, right? So in that way, I think that this ending was really good, actually. It was, again, not to really give anything away, but there is like the last big bang, if you will, very close to the end, and then it was, I think it was 2 chapters actually, of sort of the aftermath and weaving in loose ends after the last piece of drama. So it was probably quite good. I think I'm just disappointed with it actually ending. And I just started, excuse me for leaving out this book. This is in Swedish. Paulo Coelho, Alchemisten. I believe it is like The Alchemist in English. It's, I looked this up, it's written originally in Brazilian, and I don't know any Brazilian, but its original title is O Alquimista, so I'm guessing it's sort of The Alchemist. Which is the lead role. Do you say that? The protagonist, the antagonist, the protagonist. Well, not really. Well, the main lady in these books, she is a professor at Yale, I believe, and she researches old alchemical manuscripts, and that is her life calling, if you will. So I felt it might be appropriate to start The Alchemist afterwards, even though it's a completely different story, I suppose. I've only just started it, but I can't imagine that it has anything to do with one another. Anyway, let's go on to the knitting. Let me just lift my tea bag out of the tea. Today I am drinking the Puka detox tea. I just want to say that I don't really buy into the detox of it, because I have a liver and 2 kidneys, but it tastes of licorice and I love it. It's wonderful. Yes. Again, I was thinking that I would have a lot of more knitting time in the cabin, and I obviously chose not to. So I don't have any finished objects. I was sort of thinking, or I was planning on having this done. This is the t-shirt type thing that I've been working on for a few weeks. Last week I had, or had I? Yes, I believe, because there's the progress keeper. I believe that I just had separated for the sleeves. I believe. Like, I guess I think I was on the row of casting on new stitches under the arm. So I picked up those stitches again yesterday and knit, I think, 2 rounds of stocking stitch and then 3 rounds of rib before binding off on both sleeves, so they are done. And then I'm working down the length, and you can see I have quite a lot done. So there was last week. Well, it is a larger gauge, obviously. I'm knitting on, I did check this the other week. I will not shake the camera this time, or at least not so that it almost falls over. 5mm needles, and I'm sorry if there is some shaking of the camera. Ah, there was earthquake. Everyone okay? 5mm needles and a large-ish yarn as well, so obviously it works up quickly. And it's not there. You can see my face a little bit. It's not bulletproof by any means, but it's not super loose either. So I have, excuse me for leaning over, 1 full skein left and 1 that much left. And right now it's quite long. I would like this to be sort of tunic length, and I'm not sure that it will be. It might be, you know, just a little bit too short so that it's kind of awkward in between. I will obviously have, you know, a skirt or proper, what do you say, pants, trousers, not just like leggings that are more or less see-through. With this being so short, no, but there is a length where a garment can hit you, where it's, you know, just sort of awkward. Is it supposed to cover? Or is it not supposed to cover? Yeah. So I don't know if it will be long enough. I had 2 skeins of the blue left, so I've done 2 blue, excuse me, 2 blue stripes. And you might be able to tell that this stripe is somewhat narrower than this stripe. And that is because I have done some increases in the side. And then I've also done, well, pretty much raglan increases here, which is sort of, I was gonna say on the kidneys. Well, almost. Not in the side, but like on the back, but on both sides of the back. For it to be sort of a, well, not really a peplum because it's too low, but do you know what I mean? Sort of a peplummy effect. I've also done a few short rows for it to be longer in the back. So with the rows, because this is how far one skein goes at this point. But with the rows, with the increases, the rows are obviously getting longer, so it will not be that much longer with another skein at the bottom. And this is the last I have of it, so and I did order this yarn, so this is Ice Yarns from Yarn Paradise on the internet. It's in Turkey. I ordered it, and then you order in bulk. So I ordered, I believe, 8 or 10 balls of each color to knit the sweater that I excuse me, showed you last week, and that I also showed you when I worked on it last summer. Because that was the smallest quantity you could get. So I'm not buying more. So either the length will do, or perhaps I will rip out to have it, well, it won't be cropped, but cropped compared to the length I am currently going for. And something has happened. Ah! This is so weird. The yarn, however, the yarn is 60% cotton, 40% acrylic. So, yeah. I am going to soak it to even out the stitches, because I think that will do it good to make it look more, I don't know, polished, perhaps. And then I will obviously sort of tug on it a bit and pat it out, but with it being acrylic and cotton, it won't really block into shape. But also with it being this long and quite heavy, it will sort of hang itself out a little bit as well, concerning the length of it. So yeah, I will have this done fairly soon. But it's not done for today, so I don't have any finished objects, as I said. This was my plan to have finished. I also did work on the other sweater, the sock yarn sweater. This is going to be a long sleeve, quite long sweater, Positive Ease, big, bulky sweater. I'm knitting it, dropped stitch, I'm knitting it with sock yarn. The sort of faux ferile self-strapping sock yarn, which creates this rather chaotic but still striping fabric. I'm knitting it on 2.5mm needles, I believe. I'm all confused today. Yes, yes I am. I have this needle gauge right here. And yeah, this is where I was last time So good few centimeters. Doesn't really show very well with the black and silver progress keeper on this yarn, but I guess you can see it anyway. Yeah, a good few centimeters, and it's going along. I'm in no rush to finish this. It'll just have to run its course. And then I also have the shawly cowly bib, possibly sort of poncho-ish project that I'm working with out of my hand spun. This is where I was last week. Can you see? There is my diamond right there. So I've done that. I've started working this as a triangular shawl with increases on 4 points. And I joined it in the round, as you can see right there, which will be the center back ish. And I'm continuing to increase at this point every other row or round, since I'm working in the round, but still on the 4 points so that it will grow. So my idea is that this will be the start of it is sort of a, again, bib style cowl with a lot of fabric in front and obviously not so much in the back, but with the increases also in the back. I'm hoping for it to grow, and I don't want to stretch it because the cable is not long enough. I'm hoping for it to grow a little bit more so that it can come out on the shoulders a bit, so that it might be sort of a slight poncho-ish style to it. And then I might want to, so when I said the center back-ish, if it grows I might want to have the longer point more, well, not exactly straight over the shoulder I guess, but more to the side so that it drapes asymmetrically. I think that might look good. So that's the plan. Oh, I must have gotten a paper cut on my finger. Doesn't hurt, so it's no problem. I have quite a lot of yarn left of this cake. It was a huge cake from the beginning, and it's a center pull, so it looks like there's more left than it really is. And this is hand spun, as I said. I spun this quite recently. It's a 3-ply with 2 lighter strands of grey and 1 darker, and it's from Ölands Ullcentrum, sort of no breed sheep or wool. And those are the only things that I have. I am still, or I was gonna say I'm still contemplating the 3-color cashmere cowl with no cashmere. I have the yarn right here still because I haven't done anything about it. I'm not contemplating, I have decided that I am going to do it, but I want to finish something before I cast that on. Sorry, there's a flap of dead skin on my finger and it bothers me. Sorry. Yes, I did. Those of you who follow me on Instagram probably saw that I posted a picture of my nephew with the fingerless mitts. I did weave in the ends, and he liked them. He said that they were a bit hard to get on because they were quite snug on him as well. But he said that they're really comfortable to have on. They're very comfortable to have on. So I hope that's good enough. And he is 6, so I'm sort of guessing, you know, that they won't fit him come fall anyway. So if they fit him now before, you know, sort of summer, that's good enough. So I wove in those ends since we spoke last, and I gave them to him. but I did show them last week as a finished object. So voice fry. I might want to mention what I'm wearing as well. So I am wearing a t-shirt that I made. This was one of the very first things that I like, garment or like, you know, real things that I made. And this was completely made up in my head as I went. I was actually making this as a v-neck, open all the way down here, because I was thinking it would be sort of a, well, pretty much this line. I had no idea about proportions and how it worked out with the knitting at that point. So I have sewn this up afterwards and added buttons, so you can't open these because that would be inappropriate. I've also added a strand of yarn from shoulder to shoulder over the back to trying to hold it in, because it's still quite big. There is a, how do I show you? Well, you can see it there. There is a cable in the back, just for a little while, and it's striping, and it's sort of hip length, and it is what it is. It's, I mean, I'm not super happy with it, but I like it for what it is. And for some reason, because so with this being open, when I worked on it, I was working in the flat, working flat, and for some reason I managed doing this, and I realized long after I was done. And of course it had to be in the color where I switched colors, but I really like it though. I think it's adorable. So yeah, completely made up and not my best work ever, but one of my first works, so that's good enough. Yes. Next week is Easter. I will be going to visit a friend in Stockholm, and I won't record. So I'll see you again in 2 weeks in this format. I'm available on, I am on Instagram, where you can follow me and see what I'm up to. I am, if you want to contact me, I do check my Ravelry messages quite often. So if you do want to get in contact, please do so. Again, I'm sjomajlin on those places as well, and you can see the spelling here somewhere. So thank you for spending some time with me, and thank you for feedback, likes, comments, everything. It really does make my heart happy. So thank you very much for that. That's it. I was just trying to see if there was anything else, you know, scrambling around in my head. Not too bad with coughing and throat clearing though. I thought it would be much worse. So, please do take care. Be kind to yourselves and to one another. I'll see you in 2 weeks. And I don't know, bye!